Good times. Sheesh, as the kids say.
Oh, timely reference. We are sick with it on this podcast.
We're so
On
incredibly
God.
old.
Dead No Cat, the hippest, coolest podcast on the internet.
No cap. For real, for real.
We're about to go viral.
SMH my head.
Yeah.
I asked a kid today. Someone said something silly, and I was like, "That's an oof," and like no one laughed, and like, and then I was like, or would you guys say? I was like, would you guys say that's an oof or oof? And one kid goes, neither.
Kids are.
Hello and welcome to Grass Touchers, the show where the three of us guys talk about video games we like, video games we're into, things that are going on in the video game world. I am Jake.
My name is Darnell. Psych. It's Jerry.
Oh, wow, dude.
And I'm Greg.
Hey, let's hear it, Darnell. What you been up to with your video game time?
Oh, man, you know. Well, I've continued down the Dota path to... I'm not going to say nowhere. It's definitely taking me somewhere, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm enjoying it. I really love that game. I loved that game as a younger man, and I've gone back to it, and it turns out still love it. It's an awesome experience.
You still got it? You feel competitive? Did you have to like sort of hit a brick wall for a second? Or?
It's taken me like probably 25 matches to kind of get to where I'm like feeling. I'm getting to a point where I'm like looking at people and going like rolling my eyes, being like, "What was that play? What were you thinking right there?" Like stupid. Like because when I first started playing again, I was really objectively horrible, and some people were
and other people were like, "What were you doing?
Exactly,
what was that play?"
A few people were really vocal, and I was like, "No, I can't be," But I was really bad. But then I'm starting to get the feel back, and it's a game that just has truly unlimited potential for strategy, and for every character in the game plays so different that you can I'll play 10 matches as Ancient Apparition, and I'll be feeling it. I'm like getting in a groove and kind of tooling around with my build and different plays and different every match is like a brand new thing, and you're like, I'm going to play this. I'm going to be so much better this game than I was last time because I'm not going to make these same mistakes. And, and then on top of that, there's like, I don't even know how many heroes there are in the game, but there's probably close to like 80 or something. And I can just go, all right, I'm gonna play as Tidehunter this time. I do it all over again, and the team comps are different, and the builds are different, and it's a blast every time. And I'm learning little by little that these are the games that do have the most longevity for me. And because I'm looking back at games that I used to play, like Halo 3, played a lot of Halo 3. I could pick it up right now if the Halo 3 community just was revitalized overnight. I could pick it up, play it, and I would really probably enjoy it the same way I enjoyed it then. Because it's the type of experience when the light hits green, you're like, okay, I've learned I've played. The last match was the last match. I'm gonna try and do better this time, and there's just like this incremental growth and comfortability, and it's really awesome. And it kind of bums me out at the same time though, because games like Dota are team games. Like I want to be able to like, hey guys, you should play this game with me. But I know that there's like a close to 0% chance that would ever happen not because my friends, you guys included, don't possess the gaming and otherwise logical, merits to play it. There's just such a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
That like you would need to love it, and you would need to dedicate like a lot of time to just learning the game, the nuances and how it works. I have that going for me. I played so much as a when I was like in early college and through college and in high school, and it's like riding a bike. It's like playing basketball. If a sport for you, being soccer ball, there's muscle memory that you just can't learn overnight. But I
hope that someday I can speak about Siege the way you're talking about Dota right now. This is what it reminds me of. The fact that there's so many characters in Dota, the fact that there's core game knowledge that you kind of have to have already gained at some point, and you're returning to the game feels good. The way that there's a, you never forget how to ride a bike, just sort of hopping back on thing. The way that, you get a few matches under your belt and you get that spark again. Like I've had that moment with Siege where I dropped it for a while and came back. I know exactly what you're talking about. It feels super good to return to not an old flame per se, but just a game that is more or less your forever game. As I have said to you guys already, I had a nice little rage uninstall of Siege when we last played it. But
I was present for that.
Yes, we we love this. We love one of those forever games, something that you can come back to and be like, this is it. I'm gaming now. It's working.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that and Monkey Ball for me. I just will always be able to go back and just like really
Monkey Ball, dude.
Yeah. I tried to play Monkey Ball the other day on my Retroid, my Pocket 4. Dude, that game will honestly, it will manhandle your Monkey Balls.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard, dude. That game is hard.
Does that handheld have a analog stick, or is it a D-pad? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got good analog sticks. It's got analog sticks that are, I would say, much better than the Switch even. And it's got pretty good control. And still, that game I just got absolutely bodied by Monkey Ball the other day in the middle of work. I got hardcore, dude. It is. So yeah, I lots of Dota, some Monkey Ball. I've restarted a game that I never really got into enough. I've restarted the Yakuza series. There's like 6 of them, and then there's like the Like a Dragon, and there's like 3 of those. I'm excited because I can sit there and play those with my wife next to me, and it's just, just just like screaming in Japanese. But those games are tons of fun. If you've never played them, check them out. And then aside from that, I've started a side project. As you guys know, I don't play guitar, so I'm making a guitar album called "While My Guitar Gently Farts." And dude, and
give the people what they want.
Yeah, it's gonna be covers of lots of classic guitar hits, but with a slight twist, if you will. I'll let you figure out what that is when you buy it at your nearest Best Buy in 3 to 6 months.
Instead of it being by the Beatles, can you say it's by like the Bumholes?
The Bumholes, exactly.
The Fartles.
The Fartles. Juicy, dude. So yeah, that's been my week. Greg, what you been up to?
Man.
Guys, you will not believe this. I don't know that I've played any video games.
All right, you're really off the podcast.
Other than maybe
not a lick. Not even a little bit.
PUBG. Did we play PUBG? Thursday or Friday we played PUBG. Actually,
maybe.
Yes, we did very briefly, I believe.
Okay.
But no, work's been crazy. We had Easter weekend this past weekend, and
right.
I worked on Saturday, the day before Easter, and then with family all day on Easter, and all those things, and worked a lot. We had a teacher work day on Monday, and was there most of the day, and so just kind of real life right now, and that's okay. This is the Grass Touchers podcast, and
sometimes it do be like that.
But I've been looking at my Steam library as we've been talking, and because it's one of the weird things I was looked up Dota 2, and it's like
just wishing you could be playing a video game instead of doing a podcast talking about how much you don't get to play video games.
the amount of things that are in my library that say new to library because I literally haven't played them. It's like 9 things.
You've had a couple of games where you're like, oh, guys, I picked up such and such. And I'm like, are you going to play it? Because you say that. I would love you to play that game. Like Civilization. Remember you brought Civilization? I was like, hey, I'll play that with you. Let's do it. And
for like
you've not probably cracked it yet.
For like $7. I picked up like a week and a half ago, I picked up Sea of Stars, which is like a super well-reviewed RPG. And then Red Dead 2 was like $10. And then Hollow Knight was like $8. So those aren't going to get played either for at least a couple days.
Right.
But no, I am looking at kind of, as I'm scrolling this list, I'm like, what do I like actually want to dedicate some time to? And that'll be really fun when I decide to do that.
Do you ever get like decision paralysis when you have too many options? Is that a thing?
That's the exact problem I'm running into right now, where I like, I want to play all these games, you know, but with work being the way it's been, it's not like gonna. Because guys, I mean, this is for all of you fellow grass touchers out there or aspiring grass touchers. You know, when you get, and Jake and Jared can commiserate, like when you get married, you work a long day, and there are only so many hours in the evening, right? That you can.
That's right.
There are only so many things you can choose to do with those hours, right?
If you're smart anyway, and you want to get some friggin' sleep once in a while.
Yeah, and a lot recently, I get home and I want to like sit on the couch with my wife and like ask her how her day was, and spend time together. And video games have taken a back seat recently, and that's that's okay. But I imagine I'll get into a binge pretty soon, so that'll be fun. What about you, Jake?
Well, I can relate, gentlemen, to having, as Greg said, plenty of real life stuff going on. We also had Easter weekend. I had a great couple of things at church going on. We had a Good Friday worship night, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Had a good turnout. Got to play a bunch of great tunes. Sunday was equally excellent. Good turnout at church, and just Easter rocks. And if you go to church, then you're one of the real ones, and you know what I'm talking about. After that, family time on Sunday and kind of late nights, driving back. My in-laws is who we spent Easter with, and that's like hour 45-minute drive. So, long enough that you got to like, all right, it's time to leave so we don't get home at midnight. But I did get, as I mentioned last week, I got Helldivers, and I've let that be my, kill an hour in the evening by myself kind of game. I've done that a couple times, and dude, I'm madly in love with this son of a gun. I absolutely love what they've done in like on a couple of levels. This game is working for me. So I'll back up a second and say I recently rage uninstalled Siege. We talked about that because we had such a bad time with the new season, and we were like, dude, this is not worth it. There's so many other good games to play. So then the other day, this was last week. When did I send that message in Discord? I know it wasn't that long ago. I was like, done. So done. Yeah, on the 1st. On April Fool's, LOL, Monday, 2 days ago. I think uninstalling Siege out of hatred was like my gateway drug to like moving the hell on from games that pissed me off one too many times. Because I'll take full blame for turning all of us onto PUBG in the first place, right? I was the first sort of person. This is not a bragging rights thing. These are the facts, right? Like I played PUBG once in a long time ago, and I told Jared about it a long time ago. And then he and I played because there was a duos actual mode where there were only 2-man squads, and he and I played PUBG for a while. And then we all got onto it, and then Tyler got onto it, and before we knew it, we had a 4-stack once in a while. And my brother's playing it, and so like that was our main game for a while, right? So Monday, I'm playing the casual mode where it's mostly bots and there's like 10 or 12 players or whatever. And I get sniped with an AWM that somebody grabbed out of a loot crate who had no reason to know where I was and was clearly cheating. And I was like, this isn't fun. Video games are supposed to be fun. I'm just trying to chill. It's my lunch break. I'm working from home. I'm having a nice time. I thought. I had played a little bit before that to kind of warm up. I think this was my second or third casual match, and I was like, this is dumb. And then there was a time where we played as a group. I think that's what you're talking about earlier, Greg, like Friday or something.
Yeah.
We played against this team that like bum rushed us with a Jeep. And, you know, the thing in that game is once somebody knows where you are, if you don't have cover and they're driving in a straight line towards you, the Jeep is maneuverable enough that you can't really run out of the way, and just runs me over. So bad luck, you know, there's nothing you can do about that. Unless you're just going to have this eagle eye freaking moment where you shoot him in the face out of his vehicle, which, you know, right. I suppose that's happened a handful of times for our squad, right? Shooting people out of vehicles. That's cool or whatever, but you can't do it reliably. Like, it's not always going to work. And so our fun was cut short in this match. And I remember I was like, guys, I got to go to bed. I can't do this right now. And so I kind of did the same thing when I was playing by myself. I was like, you know what? Helldivers is more fun than this. And playing on my Steam Deck, Armored Core 6, playing Red Faction Guerrilla that came out a friggin' decade ago or whatever. Like, there's other things I would rather do right now, and I'm just not gonna waste the ones and zeros on my hard drive with this right now. Like, so I uninstalled PUBG from my machine because I know there's Unreal Engine 5 sort of patch coming out, and I know that I will return to that game, much in the same way that I will most likely be the proverbial dog that returns to its vomit and play Rainbow Six Siege again one day, right? But anyway, having said all of that, here's what I love, you guys, about Helldivers 2. There's nobody to compete against. It is not PvP. Nobody can ruin your time. There's friendly fire, but it doesn't matter because you can just respawn. Your whole squad can leave, and the game automatically changes the difficulty to being that of a solo player. If your whole team is gone and you've been left alone, you can still respawn. You guys may be aware that in Helldivers you have to like be called down as a reinforcement. Your teammates like push in their little DDR code to drop you a beacon thing, and then like your pod comes down. If you're playing by yourself, it just happens automatically. You just come back, and it's not a big deal. And I had a moment in Helldivers the other night where I played with a couple of randoms. I was looking for a particular type of mission that I really enjoy, the ICBM mission, where you have to launch the giant nuke across the planet. It's just like one of the more fun mission archetypes. And these two guys I was playing with, they were kind of boneheads, as in like stupid. They weren't being like toxic or team killing, but they were just not very good. And I was pinging certain things for us to go do, and they weren't really following. And I was like, whatever, I'll go with the flow. And we were almost done with the mission, and they just left. And I was like, whatever, maybe they were teamed up, and they decided to peace out. So, you know, the game automatically adjusts to it being just me. And it was a challenging mission. It was level 4 out of 9. There's 9 total sort of difficulty modes that you can pick from, and I was on number 4. And I got through the whole thing to the very, very end, and I had this hilarious moment where I got lost in the sauce, like shotgunning and minigunning and exploding and orbital striking, like all these aliens by myself, just like raw, going for it. And then the dropship came in to rescue me because I had done all the objectives all by myself. I got to the end, and the dropship crushed me because I was standing in the wrong place, and I was out of reinforcements. My last sort of respawn had just been used on my last death, and I was like, no, I almost did it all by myself. Dang. So it was stupid, but it was like fun and funny. Yeah. And what's cool is you still get a bunch of the rewards from the mission that you just did. You didn't extract successfully, so you don't get the maximum, sort of payout. But you still get credits and medals, and there's all this currency that's like just kind of dished out, and whatever you finished is still credited to your sort of mission log or whatever. So I've kind of cracked the code on guns that I like in that game. The shotguns are super freaking fun. There's a minigun like auto turret emplacement that I throw down, and it just mows them down. And like there's a way of playing that game that is sweaty, and like you're looking for some sort of meta loadout, and you get your buddies and you try to go for the highest possible difficulty, and that is fun. Like the harder the game is, the funner the game is. But it's also just a wonderful, like, let's be real, all video games on some level are a waste of time, right? And like as long as you're going to be wasting time, you might as well pretend you're in Starship Troopers and blow bugs away. It's right. Like super super fun. And or robots, as the case may be, because you can play against robots. I just wanted to share one extra thing that I learned about Helldivers. As I've watched more YouTube videos and stuff, I was considering like the end game of Helldivers. Like, how long am I going to stick with this? Provided you guys hop on the Helldivers train, how long would we stick with this? And I found that in the higher difficulty modes, the objectives change, and there's like more status effects on the planets, and there's like tougher conditions and additional objectives. So for example, the ICBM missions, the way that those work is there's really just 2 locations that you have to go to. You have to go to one place and get the launch codes, and then you have to go to the other place, launch the missile, and you got to extract them, and then you go. There's a different sort of iteration of that at higher difficulties where you have to go to like a comm station or a power generator or something and turn it on, and there's like a little mini game for that. And then you have to go over here and like reroute fuel, and there's a you guys know in BioShock the little like pipe dream like
little mini game thing. You have to do that on a little console in Helldivers and like reroute fuel. And then you have to go get the launch codes, and then you have to go. So there's like 4 different places on the map that you have to go to, and this is at a higher difficulty, so there's more bugs and bigger bugs, scarier bugs. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, as I sort of increase my proficiency in this game, like, you know, there's a ton of mission archetypes, and they have done a really great job of avoiding the 2 main problems with quest giving in large games, right? Go here, kill all of these things. Go here, grab this thing, bring it back to me. That sort of like quest giving problem is totally absent in Helldivers. It seems like there's a lot more ideas they have. And most recently, there's been some leaked information where they're going to go like unveil a new enemy type of some kind. And from Helldivers 1, they have the community anyway has kind of figured out by data mining in the game, like, oh, I bet it's this, and they're going to have like a lot of electricity sort of based weapons and powers. They're going to have these strengths and weaknesses, and they're going to be way harder than the robots or the bugs. And you know, the community is really thriving because the devs are so like, you know, they're very much adversarial to the players in like a fun way. Again, it's not PvP. You're not competing against other people in the game per se, but you are in a sense competing against the devs that are like DMing, you know, and managing this game and throwing curveballs at you and you know, trying to compete or complete like global missions and stuff. I'm really loving on multiple levels what this game is doing for me. So I guess I know what I'm playing next.
Freaking cool. Yeah, it's really great.
Adversarial developers is not a new concept, though. Trust me. If anyone's ever actually played NBA 2K or any of the sports games, you'll know what an adversarial developer looks like.
Yeah, dude.
Constantly just trying to ruin your entire life. And then
that's right. It's a welcome change to, instead of dealing with Nikita or whatever, like Escape from Target, talk about adversarial devs. It's so nice to have a dev sort of like I said, dungeon master kind of like bad guy.
Sure.
He's like ultimately on your side because he wants you to have fun, but the way he's going to make you have fun is to like trick you and give you impossible objectives and see if the community can sort of rise to it, which they do about half the time. Right. It's a welcome change to have a dev that is frustrating in a good way.
Right. And listeners, go ahead and just replace every instance of the use of the word Helldivers on that last Jake's last monologue, and replace it with and you'll pretty much get a good picture of what he's actually been playing, if you know what I mean.
You found out my ghost review of let me just call it Helldivers 2, and everybody will.
Honestly, though, the Helldivers thing, Jake, to me, the thing that sounds most enticing about that, which is why I'm going to buy the game tomorrow probably, and try and play it with you, Friday.
Yes.
Is that and this is like an instant turn off for me, and I think all of us with games, when we're trying to get into something, is like games that punish you for not like playing them constantly, right? They get like games that like, and I still am in love with PUBG and would be playing it every night if I had the time right now, but Siege is a great example of a game that just like that game is literally not fun unless you play it frequently. There's literally not. It's not fun. And it sounds like Helldivers they modify the game in ways to where you, no matter what, you can hop on and have a blast. You know, and that's what it should be. You know,
I get that impression, and I appreciate that you've taken that for what it is. There's a sameness to the gameplay that's never going to go away. It's always going to be about blasting bugs or robots or this new enemy type or whatever. And yeah, you'll unlock, more guns, or you'll unlock a different type of grenade, or you'll unlock a special kind of armor that gives you a buff, or you'll unlock a new kind of orbital. Dude, there's orbital strikes that are like 500 kilogram bombs that are just like huge. Orbital lasers, Gatling guns, napalm. I have napalm. I unlocked napalm. A freaking fighter jet craft thing comes in and goes, Roger that. Come right in with the napalm. And they just like Vietnam, these bugs, dude. It's so rad. There's always something on the horizon for you to unlock, and even in the short time the game's been out, they've unveiled new unlockables. There's like a rail gun and like all these different things. And you will be able to play the game successfully whether you have played it recently or not, because it's the same game. There might be new missions, there might be new objectives, there might be a community goal of like liberating a certain planet or, getting through a certain sector of the war. But it's not something, because it's not got the problem of like, oh, that gun's not in the meta anymore. Like they're already tweaking and balancing to where you can play it kind of however you want and be successful. So yeah.
Well,
it'd be sweet.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I just ran my computer through the can my game play this thing, and I just barely hit the minimum recs for GPU.
Did you squeak by on the lowest render
GPU.
it in 480p settings?
And I also see the game requires 111 gigabytes. What is
that? Can't be right. That wasn't my download size.
Okay, well, the thing, it recommends 100, and then I saw 111 on that benchmark thing. So, but I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. That line is scaring me.
So I have another question of the week.
Yes.
And
Hit
my
me.
question, I think this is going to become a recurring segment or degment.
I was going to say, I need to make a little jingle, for this. We need a little question of the
Week.
So my question this week is memories of all-nighters in video games. So
yes.
I'll share two. I'll do from childhood or teenage years, right? And then one more modern, in modern adult times. Halo, the launch of Halo 2, right? Like when that game launched, all night. We went to the midnight launch with a friend. We got home and
when those were a thing.
Yeah, midnight launches were a thing, dude. Went to the midnight launch with a friend, and I think we got back. So they didn't start letting people into GameStop until midnight, right? And so I don't think we got back to my house until 2 o'clock in the morning. The line was wrapped around the building, sort of thing. Yeah. And I want to say my mom made us stop playing at 4 p.m. the next day.
Oh my god!
Dude, that's so real. Oh my gosh.
Was, yeah. Second, another, and it was great. Another memory would be when the Burning Crusade expansion came out for World of Warcraft. Tyler and I, or another friend and I can't remember, but it happened to be spring break, my sophomore or junior year of high school. And I'm telling you, dude, there was one day where my mom was like, "Look, you haven't slept in 72 hours." And we were chugging Mountain Dew Code Red and pulling entire handfuls of Doritos out of bags, blah.
So for real.
And so that, and then I think more, in more recent times, we've had some pretty late nights, on PUBG, but we never in Siege. I don't think we've ever gone all night.
Right.
I think the latest I've stayed up probably as an adult there was one night Jake and I played Siege, and Jake was like, "Dag, it is 5 o'clock in North Carolina right now." I'm pretty sure it was 5 a.m. where you were, and you were
Dude, especially it was. We've talked about this before. It was the perfect storm of you built a computer. You asked me what you should download or play, and I said, well, if you mean play together, and you were like, yeah, dude. I said you should check out Rainbow Six Siege, and we got super duper into it, and COVID came, and it was game over. I was a full-time student. I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home dad / student, and then most of that education was online at a certain point, so I was really homebound, and I was like, party time, and I had a gaming laptop, and this thing, after a certain amount of time, it was the fans on this poor thing, it's it was going to take off, not because Siege is a super demanding game, but because I was running it at, high settings for just hours, and we were getting down at a certain point. I'm sure it was about 5 a.m.
Yeah. So probably Siege as an adult. What about you, Jared? Do you have any all-nighters in video games?
Truthfully, I've never been an all-nighter kind of guy. I just can't stay up all night. It freaks me out to see the sun come up. It just isn't. It's too disturbing. But the times that I came close were that come to mind. I had a birthday party for a friend, and we played Halo 2 LAN party for Xboxes, which, if you guys remember what those days were like, you could hit the X button to delay the match starting. The oop, 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 oop. And you can hit the X button. And I just remember there was this one kid that did it for 10 minutes. We'd been playing for 7 hours straight, and he just kept doing it. And I remember everybody else thought it was kind of funny. And not that I am a tough guy, but I fancied myself a bit of a tough guy back then. I definitely let my emotions speak for me too much. I remember I got up and I went in there. I was like, "Do it again," and it's going down. You hit the X button one more time. It was getting very chippy, and that's probably a good sign that we were playing too long. But another time that comes to mind, Gears of War 2 midnight release. I did a lot of midnight releases actually.
Okay.
That one was big. Played that for a long time that night. Guys, a lot of mini almost all-nighters in my life. A lot of them. Probably Dota, probably Left 4 Dead, probably a lot of Halo, Gears. Man, those were good times. I loved coming close. I loved coming close to the all-nighter, but never the actual all-nighter. Jake, what you got?
I got a few, man. Hearing you guys talk about it has got me all misty-eyed for the good old days of the Blockbuster and just good times with the pals. So I'm gonna go with 2.5 because you'll see. So there's this one time in 4th grade, so long ago, I'm surprised I remember, but I had this friend when my dad was stationed we were living in Kansas at the time, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. And the way it worked out, a lot of military families who had kids approximately the same age would have this particular not deployment assignment. We were sent to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, so my dad could go to something called Command and General Staff College. Well, if you're at that point in your military career, you probably are a certain age, which means you probably got married at this age, which means you probably had kids at this age. And so in my neighborhood, there was 10 kids, all boys, that were, 1 or 2 years apart. We were all just Nerf war. We're all military brats. We got the Nerf guns. We got the video games. We got the bikes and skateboards out. It was party time in the cul-de-sac freaking all day, every day. It was a great year and a great assignment. My buddy Alex, his dad was a Navy guy. And I remember because there was this whole, who's the real, Air Force, Navy, it was stupid. Meanwhile, the Army kids are smoking a cigar,
right,
yeah, right. And his dad was a mega nerd. I thought my dad was a little nerdy for turning me on to video games at all, flight simulators and Doom and Duke Nukem. This guy's dad got him a PS2 before anybody I knew. I was like, whoa, you got a PS2? And he got it for his birthday. And a bunch of us had like a big old, sleepover at Alex's. And there were only 2 controller ports on the PS2, so we had to take turns. But every one of us were perfect, good little patient boys waiting with bated breath for our turn to play this incredible, mind-blowing, true-to-life graphics, PS2. And we played one game all night. Can you guess what game we played on the PlayStation 2 when it came out?
Gran Turismo 3.
No.
Time Splitters.
Oh, that would have been good, but no.
Probably one of those Madden launch titles.
Dude, you know what it was? SSX, the first one.
Oh, dude.
Do you remember those? I feel like we've talked about SSX Tricky at some point. Because that game
yeah.
But the original snowboarding game, SSX, on the PS2, shortly after the PS2 had even launched, and our minds were exploding. Yeah. And so I distinctly remember his mom coming downstairs at 6 a.m. and being like, you guys are still up? Dear God, what have I done? Your parents are going to be furious. And we're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We're having a great time. We're all we're all hopped up on Mountain Dew and popcorn or whatever. So there was that. That was a bit of an all-nighter. And I went to sleep when I got home, I imagine, but I don't remember sleeping, And then here's one that was basically an all-nighter. Jared, you were there. Before I moved to North Carolina, it was my birthday, I think it was a birthday, or maybe it was a going-away hang of some kind. Anyway, there was a time where I had some pals over in Arizona. I asked my wife, I was like, hey, can you, get out? And I was like, hey, I have an idea. I want to have my pals over that live here in Tucson that play video games, and I want to have a video game night with a bunch of guys because we're moved to North Carolina and all this stuff. And she was like, yeah, that's cool. We can do that. What do you want to do? And I said, I think I want them to bring their PCs over and we can have a LAN party because I've never done that. And she was like, oh my gosh, get out of here. You're such a nerd. Yeah, all right, I will leave. Absolutely. And you're lucky if I come back. No, I'm just kidding. But, dude, I went to the grocery store and I got the buffalo chicken strips and I put them in the oven, and I got the Doritos and I got the soda and the seltzer water and beer, and I went to Dickman's Meats and I bought Wagyu steak. Do you remember this?
Yeah,
I put it in the pan and I seared it and I sliced it up. I had meat and cheese, and I had it was going down. And Jared, this is so funny. Jared rolls up. I think maybe you remember Joe. Joe came and he brought his computer. Yeah. And I had my computer where it normally is on my desk, which was off of the kitchen and off of the living room in this little corner. And I had mapped out in my head where the other computers could go. And I think Joe was there, and you and a buddy I taught with, Brian, I think was his name. Anyway, there's supposed to be 4 of us, and you showed up and you didn't have your PC or anything, and you're like, yeah, what are we gonna do? Right. Oh, you wanted me to bring my rig? I was like, yeah, I thought you knew that. And you're like, oh, dog, I'm so sorry. Let me eat some of these buffalo chicken strips, and then I'll get out of here, and I'll be right back. So it was awesome. We hung out for a little bit, and then you went and got your computer, and we tried. This was what was funny. It wasn't even that great because we couldn't decide what to play. I really didn't coordinate very well at all with my friends. I was like, look, we're all adults. Some of us have children, for crying out loud.
We tried Fortnite at one point, I think.
Yes, Brian was like, you guys, we got to play Fortnite. Come on, what's wrong? What's wrong with Fortnite? We got to play Fortnite. And we're all sharing my one internet connection trying to download Fortnite. And we played 3 matches maybe. I don't know. I think we ended up all playing different games at one point even. But so that was sort of an all-nighter. I think we stayed up good and late, maybe 4, something like that. It was pretty late. And then I'll say I have distinct memories, but not one night, of this sort of routine, right? One of my best buddies, Clay, who's a friend of the pod, Clayton Maxey, his mom worked at the middle school that he and I went to. And so I would ask my parents on a Thursday, hey, Friday after school, can I just go home with Clay, have a sleepover, see you Saturday? And they were like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And so I just got to be Clay's like brother for a night, and I went home with it. I went home with him and his mom. We went to like Subway and got meatball subs. We went to the Blockbuster right next to that and rented a couple of games. And we went to his place and stayed up super late. I remember playing Conflict Desert Storm 1 and 2 a lot. I probably bought that game twice as many times as we rented it. And I think we played Halo a lot, Gears of War a lot. The 360 I think had come out like in 7th or 8th grade. So yeah, lots of those kind of times. But I've seen the sun. A couple of times, and it was always a blast, man. That era of the couch co-op, of the sleepover, of the Doritos and Mountain Dew, like, so many people have high-speed internet, and the norm is to play online with your friends and have a Discord server and all that kind of stuff. Like, I miss that.
It's kind of sad, bro.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it kind of is. Such a different vibe when you can punch your buddy in the arm, like because he's sitting right next to you. You beat me in Super Smash with Meta Knight again. God, I hate you.
Right.
Like, get over it.
Yeah.
KOTOR is another one that I have 100% have done an all-nighter on. I've told the story on the pod a few times of where,
like, with a buddy next to you, or you just stayed up super late.
I just pulled an all-nighter playing KOTOR. Literally played until the sun came up, and I can think of one time in particular where it was a school night, and I think I've told this story, but my stepmom, like, I could hear her coming up the stairs to check to make sure I was in bed, and I just turned my TV off, but my Xbox was still running, and I pulled the controller up through my feet at the bottom of the sheets of my bed, dude. And put the controller on my chest and pulled the covers over myself, and she opened the door, and I was like. Fake snoring, and as soon as
200 IQ gamer mode.
and at that point it was I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, and I remember again school night, and I remember finally being at 4 o'clock being I have to be up for school in 2 hours. I cannot do this.
I know I've done that with I did that with Metroid Fusion on a Game Boy Advance in my bed. And I don't know what time it was because I didn't even have a clock I could look at. And I was like, it's probably been a minute. I should probably go to sleep now.
That's a great game. I think underrated Metroid game, dude. So
and
good.
Pokemon games and stuff. Anything that involved Game Boy Advance, I was prone to jamming on that late into the night. Especially the built-in backlight on the SP, dude.
Oh, yeah. Game Boy SP is game changer.
Yeah. Good times. Sheesh, as the kids say.
Timely reference. We are sick with it on this podcast.
We're so incredibly old.
Dead No Cat, the hippest, coolest podcast on the internet.
No cap, for real.
We're about to go viral.
SMH my head.
Yeah.
I asked a kid today. Someone said something silly, and I was like, "That's an oof," and no one laughed, and and then I was like, or would you guys say? Would you guys say that's an oof or oof? And one kid goes, neither.
Kids are so gay, dude. They think they're so cool.
Savage, yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us, the Grass Touchers. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. I hope you have enjoyed your time with us so far. This is episode 20. I can't believe that. 20.
Whoa.
20 weeks we've been doing this. That's wild. Wild to me. Thank you, everyone, for your support. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at 3GrassTouchers. You can also check us out on YouTube. We've got a couple of things uploaded there. More on the way, I'm sure. Maybe we'll be in the mood for a little streaming as the summer is upon us. Maybe we can find some time. I think that would be radical. But please, let us know what you think. Use the interact features on Spotify. Leave us some comments. You can hit us up in the DMs on Instagram if you like. I check those. And thank you again for listening. Don't forget, get out there and touch some grass.